Let's take a look at job order costing in a service company. Now here we're talking about consulting firms, engineering firms, architectural firms, accounting firms, and we will find that even though they don't have any inventoriable costs, that is direct material, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead, they can still use the ideas behind job order costing because they would like to know the cost of providing service to the Allen account or just another consulting job. What we'll do is assign direct costs to each job and allocate indirect costs based on a cost allocation rate. Now this should sound familiar because this is very much like what we did in a manufacturing situation. Assign direct material and direct labor directly and allocate overhead. Rhino Technology Solutions is a consulting firm. Rhino is able to trace professional labor at a rate of $75 per hour and travel costs directly to each job. However, it allocates other costs to clients based on a predetermined indirect cost allocation rate computed as a percentage of professional labor costs. The budget for the upcoming year shows the following. So we see that they expect 6,000 professional labor hours at a cost of $450,000. They expect support staff salaries to be $80,000, office supplies $10,000, office rent and equipment costs $90,000. Rhino worked on 2 jobs during the month of January. Records show the following. On the Sewell job, they used professional labor hours totaling 50 and had travel costs of $2,000. For the Chamberlain job, 20 professional labor hours were required and $1,000 in travel costs. Determine the cost of each of the above jobs and the price Rhino should charge if the company typically earns a profit of 25% of costs. Now we can look back at the information provided, and what I have highlighted here tells us that they can trace professional labor and travel directly to each job, but they allocate the indirect costs. So we need to identify what are our direct costs and what are our indirect costs. Direct costs, we're told, are professional labor costs. That's because when a consultant or an accountant or an attorney works on a specific client, they will need to track exactly how many hours they spend with that client. Travel costs can also be traced directly to each job or client. Now the indirect costs, those that are shared by the various jobs worked on during the year, would include the support staff salaries, the office supplies, and the office rent and equipment. These 3 costs total to be $180,000. Those will need to be allocated, so we'll calculate an allocation rate, and they allocate based on professional labor costs. So $180,000 of indirect cost is expected, and we're going to divide by the $450,000 of professional labor cost to get an allocation rate of 40 cents per labor dollar. So for every professional labor dollar worked, we incur 40 cents of indirect costs. Now we'll prepare our job cost sheets. First, we'll assign the direct cost directly. The Sewell job required 50 hours. The pay rate is $75. So $3,750 is traced to the Sewell job. For the Chamberlain job, $75 for 20 hours of professional labor, or $1,500. Travel costs were given to be $2,000 for Sewell, $1,000 for Chamberlain. These are our direct costs. Now we'll allocate our indirect costs. We'll do so at a rate of 40 cents per professional labor dollar. 40 cents times 37.50 is $1,500. And 40 cents times 1,500 professional labor cost in the Chamberlain job, or 600 of indirect cost allocated. This will give us the total cost of each of the jobs. The Sewell job is expected to cost $7,250 and the Chamberlain job $3,100. Recall that we were expecting to add 25% profit on cost. So for the Sewell job, profit will be $1,812.50. And for the Chamberlain job, 25% of $3,100 is $775. So we should charge these clients $9,062.50 for Sewell and $3,875 for Chamberlain. Now, since many of you will work in the service industry, don't forget job order costing is useful in these types of jobs.